So in this video, we're going to go over connecting a custom domain to your GrazeCart site. So this assumes that you've already registered a domain name. If you haven't registered a domain name yet, you can do so at name.com or GoDaddy or different services like that. But this assumes that you've already done that, so we're going to skip that step. So the first thing you want to do is go to Settings and then go to Domain. So from this screen, the first step we'll do is enter in the domain we want to use. Now, if we wanted to, we could make this www.artisanvalleyfarms.com if that's the domain that we wanted to use. Now, these are actually two different domains. www is a subdomain, which a lot of people like to use that. It's kind of fairly common. You can also just use the root domain, which doesn't have a subdomain at all. This is actually what I prefer just because it's cleaner. Really, the choice is up to you. Just make sure that whichever one you choose, you stick with it and you're consistent, because that's your domain that you're going to use going forward. Of course, you can always change it later if you want to, but I really wouldn't recommend it. So once you've chosen the domain you want, just click Get Started. So this just starts the process then of setting up the domain. There's a couple more things you're going to have to do. And for this whole process, it can actually take anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours for it to complete. Just kind of depends on where you registered your domain and how fastly they can update those changes. So the next thing we want to do is edit our DNS records. Now these DNS records are basically what the domain uses to direct traffic to the proper destination. So when someone types in artisanvalleyfarms.com, it knows which server to point that to. And to do that, we use what's called an A record, which then points that to the IP address of the GrazeCart server. Now here we have a CNAME record, and what that does is it just points any subdomain, in this case www, to our root domain, just so that anyone trying to access our site at www.artisanvalleyfarms.com will still get directed to the same destination as if they had just typed in artisanvalleyfarms.com. Now, if you want to, you can add as many subdomains as you want, but for this example, just as a basic rule of thumb, we're just going to do these two and stick with the www subdomain. So to do this, you're going to make these changes, add these records where your domain is hosted. So that really is most likely going to be where you registered the domain, although it doesn't necessarily have to be. But more than likely, let's say you registered your domain with GoDaddy, you would do this on GoDaddy's end. So for example, our domain was registered with name.com. So this is kind of what the backend looks like of name.com. So we come down here, we click on DNS Records, and here's where we're going to add our records. So the first thing we're going to do is add an A record. Now if we go back, we can see that the type is A, the host is this @ symbol, which is basically just kind of saying it's the root, and then the value is the IP address. So we'll just copy this, and here we'll just put in the @ symbol for host, and the answer or value is going to be the IP address. So we'll add that. So next, we're going to add a CNAME record so we can get that www subdomain working. So we'll come here and we'll choose CNAME. For host, this is going to be the subdomain. So in our case, it's going to be www. And then the answer is just going to be the root domain. So we'll do that and add that record. So once that's done, these changes usually can take anywhere from a couple minutes to maybe even a couple hours. I've seen it take over a day for these changes to actually propagate and show up. So it just kind of depends. Name.com is a service we really like because they're pretty fast, a lot faster than services like GoDaddy, which I found it can take a couple hours to change. So the next thing we want to do after we make add these A records is we want to click this Validate Connection. And see, we get this error saying that your DNS records are not set up properly or the changes haven't updated yet. Double check them again and try in a few minutes. So what that basically means is that the records just either we put the records in wrong, or the changes, more likely the changes just haven't updated yet. So we'll wait a few minutes. I'll pause this video and then we'll come back and we'll try it again. So I came back after a few minutes and tried it again. Everything worked that time because all our DNS records have been successfully updated. So we see the success message, your domain is successfully connected. You can now access your site at artisanvalleyfarms.com. So we click that and we can see we can now access our site at our new custom domain. We have the padlock icon that shows our SSL certificate was successfully installed. And that's basically it. Your custom domain is now connected and you're good to go. So hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.